Anything is possible. It started with a dream. Our passion made a difference.
Hello and welcome to another video from Sandra at Sandrascraftstudio. Today I'm going to bring you some cards that I've been making with the Boho Indigo Product Medley. So let's jump down onto the craft table and let me show you what I'm going to be making today. So here we have the Boho Indigo stamp set. Now the stamp set, this product medley comes with the stamps and the dies. You can see I've got a couple out on the case that we're using today. So the stamps and the dies, I put a magnetic sheet in here and all the dies are in there. So that's included in the product medley, together with a whole stack of papers. There's 48 sheets of designer series paper in here. They are all double-sided, so there's two sides to every one in here. And then there are some punched out pieces that have got labels on them. So there's images in here. Obviously some of them have been used, so you get several sheets of these. I've just got one of each one here for you, and then the last ones are some textured sheets of paper, so textured ones in there that you can use as well. There are double those ones. I've just got some out on the back of the packet here. So you also, in addition to that, you will also get 2 of the bolts of ribbon. So you have a lovely ruched gold ribbon and another a Night of Navy ribbon as well. Okay, so I'll put all of those away and get those over there, and I will show you what we're going to be making. So today I will be using the Stampin' Up note card and envelopes. They come in a pack of 20, either in the Very Vanilla or the Whisper White. Today I'm using the Very Vanilla because they go with the papers in the product medley that we will be using. So I have my pre-scored card here, and I'll just grab my bone folder and fold this in half, making sure that the corners match up nicely, and then just crease along those edges there. Okay, so I have pre-scored that one. I have pre-cut these pieces. Now the note cards, this is the size for the note cards. I will leave that on the screen there for you. I have cut a piece of Night of Navy, and that is 12.2 by 8.4, coming down 1/2 centimetre from the size of the card, or 1/4 inch if you're an inch person. And the designer series paper here is 11.7 by 7.9. They are fractions of centimetres, but it just brings it down a nice breakdown coming down. Now, normally I wouldn't go for this abstract design on here. I'll just bring that up to the camera. I wouldn't normally go for this design, but it works quite nicely with the set that I'm using today. So I'm looking forward to using this on the other side on some of the other cards I will be making. So to start with, I'm going to grab a punch that I happen to have on my desk just to gut the middle of this card. Because we will be only seeing the tiny border, I will have that one to use later. And it just takes some of the weight down on there if you're posting. So I will start by adhering this onto my base card, my matte layer here, running my Tombow around the outside edge here, very, very slightly, very economical, and doesn't need a lot of glue in there at all. So I'll pop that into that middle layer on there like so. Now with my design today, I'm going to be taking you over next to the Stamparatus. So they are the sizes that I'm going to be using, and we will be sticking this onto the base card. However, I've left it zoomed out slightly because we're going to be using the Stamparatus. So I'll move that out of the way now. So here is my Stamparatus. I have already positioned the stamp on here, but I will talk you through how that works. So I will be placing the matte layer that we've just put together on here, and I will anchor that down into the corner. By putting the piece of card right up into the corner, then we know that it won't move and it's going to be anchored down by one of the magnets. I don't need more than one magnet, I just want to make sure it's attached across that corner. So to save this slope going downhill here, I'm going to place a stamp set underneath that so that it's nice level surface. And I'm going to be taking the garden green ink pad, and I'm going to stamp this on here without jiggling the camera. I'll try just to ink that on there, and I will just close the door and press on that stamp. So to pick up this stamp in the first place, all I did was to lay it face down where I wanted it to stamp, and just picked up on the plate here. Now on here I'm going to ink this up several times because it's going onto a patterned paper. I will do this at least 3 times until I get the desired result. You can see it's getting stronger in colour, and by the time I put on a 3rd layer it should be stronger still. because it's a busy background paper. Okay, so there's my image. That's all I wanted to do on there. So I'll close my ink pad up. Okay, and we'll take that out, and then I've put a piece of protective paper in there. I will clean that later. And the stamp set. I'll bring back my pieces that we were working on. This is the image that we've just stamped. I'll take my Tombow and run this round the outside edge, just very, very gently around there. Okay, and you can see that where that image was, where we gutted that from the middle earlier. And the Tombow will give a little bit of wiggle room so that can go in there quite nicely, and you've got room to manoeuvre it. Okay, that's our first piece done. Then I had some pre-stamped images I had in a container here. So I'll just bring these on. I love our Stampin' Up empty cases. We have in the standard cases, and then we have the deep wooden ones. It allows me to bulk cut all my images. So I have some die cut pieces here. Remember I showed you the dies in the front of the case. I have die cut, stamped and die cut some vases, some popped out some of the greetings and stamped some on. I just find it an easier way of working when I'm trying to decide which piece I want to use, and it's nice to have a box ready prepared. So I have that just off camera to the side of me. So the first one I'm going to place is one of the darker images. This is Night of Navy, and I'm going to position that underneath the greenery that we've just stamped. So this will, again with the Tombow, just pop some Tombow down there and attach that on there flat. Okay. So next up, I'm going to take one of the green pieces here, and I'm going to take one of the decorative vases here, and I'm going to just attach that on the back of that vase so that we know that that's going to sit nicely on there like so. So if I turn it over, I know where I want that to sit. So I will just put some glue down the middle there and then place that over the top there where I want the greenery just to come out the back. Okay, now because I'm going to raise this one up, the two cards I'm going to make have got images either side and they are both raised. So I'm just going to take my Stampin' Dimensionals, and I will put one at the top of the vase and one at the bottom of the vase, like so. Let's peel those off and place that. It's nice to place them not in a straight line. Vases wouldn't be in a straight line, so when you've got them on your table, you would have them slightly different. So I'm just going to lower that one very, very slightly. So we have some stamped greenery and some shaded greenery. Now if you like to catch those just slightly, you could just put a little dot of Tombow underneath there just to stop them riding up. And the same with this one here, a tiniest dot of Tombow. It's very forgiving, and that will just sit them nicely so they don't get caught on the envelope as they're going through. Next I'm going to bring on the third vase. So this is stamped in the Misty Moonlight, which is one of the new Stampin' Up ink colours. So it's a slightly different shade, but it's one of the two shades that are in the stamp set here. So I'm going to raise this one up, but I'm also going to put a small piece of the greenery on the reverse of that. So before we put some foam pads on the back there, if I take one of my die cut images here, all I want to have is a very small piece. So I'm going to trim off the stalks, and then I'm actually going to separate these two pieces. So I'll bring that up to the camera. So there is, I've taken the long stems off, I've cut through here, and I'm just going to round that edge here so that you can see where that's actually going to go in there. And we're going to just round that at the top. Okay, now those two pieces might come in handy for small pieces in future, so I'll put those back in the tray. And then this one is just going to stick out the top of this image here. The double would have been too heavy, the greenery would be too heavy, but I can do exactly the same with that one and put a dot of Tombow on the back here and place that over the back. So I'll just leave a couple of those sticking out the top. We're going to put a flower on there, so I'll just leave that like so. And again, this one is going to be raised on foam pads as well. So again, I'll put a big one on the top and another one down there. By placing the foam pad over the image, you're also going to give that a little bit of security that will anchor that down a little bit more. Okay, so while this one's turned over, I'm actually going to place a dot of the Tombow on here. That will just make it easier for you to have that, just that little dot on there, just to help you when you place it. So again, you don't want them to all be the same level. So this one's going to come down a little bit lower still, partially overlapping, and then have a piece of greenery coming out of the top there. And if we press on that, that will just anchor that little piece down for us. Okay, so it's starting to look like a nice little card. So next I have the flowers. Now the flowers come in a trio. So the die is actually a trio as well. So the die here, if I bring that one back on to show you, okay, the die is actually cuts that out as a whole piece like so. So on this particular one, I'm going to place this one in the middle, and that's going to go not square, it's going to go slightly at an angle, so you've got a different height on there. But I am going to raise each of those up. So I'm going to grab my mini Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm going to put one on each of those flowers. Okay, and take off the backings. Like I say, we'll put that as a little bit of a jaunty angle on there, so it's not, don't put it straight, you want it just so it's overhanging nicely. Okay, so that's that one. And now I have, with some others, I have actually cut these into individual blooms. I am a fussy cut queen, so I have cut some individual blooms. So on here I'm going to have one of the lighter flowers. I'll have another one of those, I think. So I have two lighter ones and one darker one. So I'm going to grab a little piece of the Stampin' Dimensionals. Now this is where we use all our tiny pieces here. So where we finish up a packet, we just want tiny pieces. We actually snip the borders off these, very, very small. So if I turn one of these over, we want the foam pad to go at the top of the image on each of those. So the top, and again on the top. Okay, so if I take all of those backings off, oops, sticking to me. And then at the bottom of each of those, you'll see how I place them. I'm going to put a little bit of Tombow along the bottom of each bloom, so it will catch on the bottom of the flower, the plant pot's vase. So I'm going to place one of these. This is a darker bloom, so I'm going to place that over there. I'm sliding it along till the foam pad meets the edge of the other raised piece and pop it on there. Then this edge here will stick to the vase and it's supported by the foam pad. The same with these ones. I'm going to have one coming off this side. Just bring it over until it latches onto the edge, and the same with this one. So where the foam pad is, we're just going to raise that one up slightly. Again, we want a nice little jaunty angle so that that looks offset, so that's not so square. Okay, so we're nearly there. We're just going to do some decoration on here, and we're going to pop a greeting on. So now I'm going to bring on a piece of the very vanilla cardstock, and I'm going to stamp the thank you onto the bottom here. So we have a range of 3 ink pads we could use. We have featured in this suite. We have the Misty Moonlight, which is the slightly lighter blue, the Night of Navy, or we have the Garden Green. Now, I think on this one, I'm going to make a garden green greeting to bring through some of the colours in the greenery here. So if I tap that gently onto the ink pad, just so you can see, and I'm going to stamp that on there like so. Now, because I'd like one for my caddy and there's a piece of card spare, I'm actually going to stamp myself another one. Okay, because that's just the right size to do the 2 pieces. I have gone for the classic label punch. It's a lovely shape and it's perfect for doing little greetings like we've got here. I'm going to snip the end of this so it's flush with the edge of the card. So on this one, I'm going to line this up, this end, so it's right over as far as it can. So there's one. And I will look after that one first. So I will just snip this a little bit shorter because we could take a little bit more off there. And that's going to go on our card. Okay, so that will go butt up against the edge there. But just like to show you how I'm doing the other one as well, as a little tip. If I was to punch the whole image out here, like so. Now, if we wanted to shorten this end here, instead of doing it with a pair of scissors, you can actually pop that back, slide that back in the groove on here and line it up as to where you would like to punch that. So I'm going to bring that back along there, making sure it's nice and straight in the track. And I wanted to cut that quite close up this end. So I'm going to shorten that. Okay, and punch that little piece off. So you could also do it with the other end and make it shorter so the whole thing could be shorter, or you can leave it open. Because I'm showing you another tip, I think I'm going to do the other end as well. So make sure it's nice and straight in your punch, and you're going to snip that last little piece off as well. So then you have made yourself a double-ended thank you there. Okay, so that's just a little tip. I'm going to pop that one in my case here for spares. So here are some pieces from my mini dimensionals where you get a wide border. So this is perfect for these small greetings. So I'm going to cut a couple of pieces and lay one this end and then one this end. Okay, remove those backings and that will go right at the top here. And it's just close, flush with the edge of the card there. So that's perfect. So now that all that remains is just to colour in some gems. So if I pop that just over to one side, I'm going to bring my rhinestone gems here and I will colour in. I've got here, I have the dark Night of Navy Stampin' Blend, and I will colour in the gems. You can see where I've done the ones earlier on the acetate here. So all I'm going to do is very gently with the nib. You don't want to mush the nib. You're just going to colour very, very gently in a circle and over the top. So it goes all the sides of the faceted rhinestones. Oh, that one's loose. That's lost his sticky. So we've got one at the top there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You need a 6th one. So I'll take another one down there. Okay. Make sure when you're putting the lids on that they do snap completely shut, because they will dry out if you don't. So they're alcohol based and they do dry fairly quickly. So we're going to put these straight on here. So I'm going to pick one up with my tweezers and I'm going to place one in the center of each flower. I don't think that one's going to stick. So I'll just slide these across. And like I say, they're alcohol, so the ink will dry very quickly on these. And place one in the center of each flower here. Another one at the top there. It's a lovely way of colouring your gems or your pearls to give you a different look. Okay, so I'll pop those out of the way. And there we have our finished card. So here is our very vanilla note card and another sheet of the same designer series paper. So I'm going to open this envelope up. I'll place Tombow along the flap, all around the edges, not too close because you don't want it to squeeze out the sides. And I will find, this is a little bit darker along this side, so I'm going to place that so that this side meets the corner there, and it's just this side of the crease, it's the crease of the envelope flap. Press that on there well, like so.
It started with a dream. Our passion made a difference and built a family. We've grown strong together, you know it's all because everybody plays a part in doing what we love. You can bet it doesn't matter where you go.
So here's the card and envelope that we've done today, and I will place that one down in view there for you. And then there's a couple of other cards I'd like to just walk you through. So here is another one. Using a different paper with the flowers done similarly, so a group of 3 and one single one. It's using a very narrow strip of gold foil here and one of the punched out pieces and a little tiny tuft of the gold ribbon here, the ruched gold ribbon. And again, this has been decorated this time on the front of the envelope. So there's another card for you. And for my third card today, I'll just show you another one in the nice shaped card that I've been doing recently. You might have seen several of those coming up. I did a Christmas set on the video recently. And again, it's this time I did it slightly differently with a backing paper as well. So one of the papers was on here with a navy border, a night of navy border, some pearls instead of gems, and greenery again, and one of the punched out labels with the thank you in it. And the covered envelope flap just finishes that off nicely. So here we have my first 3 cards that I've created with the Boho Indigo Product Medley. If you've enjoyed my tutorial today, please subscribe to my channel on the button below. If you ring the bell too, you will be notified of any further videos as I release those. My contact details will all appear at the end of the video and in the description below. Thanks again for joining me today, and I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks for watching.
Inspiration